your host, Lady J. I am so excited to be with you guys tonight. We have special guests. Special guests. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Every month should be breast cancer awareness, but specifically October is breast cancer awareness month. And y'all see the nice little picture that Pastor Phil created for us for this show. And so we special shout out to Pastor Phil, who is our producer. And so I am excited. This is just an awesome show. So come on, y'all. Y'all know how we do. Lady J tell y'all all the time. Y'all like the page, tweet somebody, text somebody, share it on Facebook, go to YouTube, shout it from the rooftops that Victory Talk is on, and we are having an awesome show tonight. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We have special guests with us tonight. We have some sisters that are breast cancer survivors. These are some powerful women. When I tell y'all, when y'all hear their stories, y'all gonna be like, wow. Y'all gonna be sitting there with your mouth hung open. I mean, I only know a little bit of background about these women, but in regards to their breast cancer stories, but I'm telling you, you are gonna be in awe. And to look at them, when I tell you, let me tell y'all, I'm in a process of writing another book, Survivor. I don't look like what I've been through. But let me tell you, these ladies don't look like what they've been through. And I stand in awe of how God is blessed them, using them, and how they are a blessing to others. So tonight we have the philosopher, Reverend Pam Johnson, my sister in ministry. We came up under Pastor Gray, and I'm so excited. I remember when Pam was doing hair. I remember when I first went to St. Stephen's, Pam was doing hair. I remember when Pam was pregnant with that little mama. Oh my, yeah, I remember that.
I just want you to know she's turning 21 on October 30th.
Really? Oh my goodness.
21. Wow. Wow. I still see her with them damn pigtails. But yes, this is a very anointed woman. She is a very intelligent woman, highly schooled, and I'm just so proud of how she presses on no matter what her circumstances are, no matter what her fight is. We share similar. She suffers from sciatica and back pain as well. And so whenever I see a post, that she's having a flare up, girl, I start praying for you, because I know the story. I know that feeling. That is just like the worst. Like, I know breast cancer was bad, but I know that sciatica, when that acts up, is just a whole nother thing. But she's just a wonderful woman, and we're going to hear from her shortly. And then we also have Reverend Dr. Ruth J. Travis with us. Amen. She is a retired preacher from the AME Church, and she is the owner and the founder and the CEO of Ruth's Pink House. Another mighty woman of God. Another woman of God. Let me tell y'all, when I met Reverend Ruth, I remember her laugh. And then I remember my auntie, because you were in school with my aunt, right?
What's your aunt's name?
Mary Chavis.
No,
she was rat kid.
Was her mother a member of Evergreen?
Yes.
Right. And I think we were at Morgan at the same time.
Yes. I thought y'all were in school together, because I remember her talking about you. Yes. And so, Reverend Ruth, she is an anointed woman, and she loves the Lord. And both of these women can preach. If y'all haven't heard them, I encourage y'all to find their CDs or find some DVDs, or maybe, Victorious Living Faith may have to have them do a guest appearance and come on and bring forth the word for us, because these are some preaching women. These are some preacher women. So I'm going to bring them on and let them get started and let them talk. These are mothers. They are daughters. They are women of God. They are wives. You know, I'm just telling you, they are anointed. And I believe that you are going to be blessed by just knowing just a little bit about them tonight. So let's go ahead and start with you, Reverend Ruth, since you are on the. Do you prefer Reverend Ruth or Dr. Ruth? Because, you know, you're always Reverend Ruth to me. So.
Whatever feels comfortable for you.
Okay.
Some people call me Reverend Ruth. Some people call me Dr. Ruth. Some people call me Ruth because that is my name. I'm not hung up on titles, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
So it doesn't matter. Whatever feels comfortable for you, that's what you use.
Okay. Well, since I know you as Reverend Ruth, I'm gonna always call you Reverend Ruth. So you Reverend Ruth to me. So come on, Reverend Ruth. Yes, ma'am. And why don't you share with us tonight, you know, whatever you want to start off sharing with.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank you, Lady J, for having me here tonight. It's a joy to be with you tonight, and an even greater joy to be with my sister Pam, because her journey is so much more challenging than my journey was. And we were able to share a focus group about 4 or 5 months ago, and that's when I heard her story. And she would tell you, I sat there and cried because her journey has been so challenging, but she's my G.R.O.W because she has been able to just press her way. So I try not to complain about anything when I listen to Reverend Pam's story. But I'll start off by saying that I was diagnosed in 2008, 3 days before my 62nd birthday. I've been taking the mammogram since I was 40. But the blessing for me, and I'll say that tonight on this Zoom, the key is early detection. I was diagnosed at 0 stage with 100% survival because the cancer was just beginning to grow. I did not have a lump because the cancer cell was in my milk duct, and the cancer cell was the size of a dot of pepper. In 2008, not all the hospitals had all the modern technology, and my doctor said to me, if we had taken that mammogram, give you that mammogram on the old machine, we never would have seen it. So I had a lumpectomy. Then I went through treatment where they put a balloon in the breast, had 2 little tubes hanging down, one to keep the balloon inflated, and the other was for the radiation. And then the 3rd week, I went to radiation twice a day, 5 days straight. I drove myself to treatment because I believe in participating in what's going on with my body. So when I came home on that Friday, the last day of radiation, I was sitting in my family room, in my prayer room, and I was looking around and thanking God for this lovely home He's given me. And I started thinking about African American women who do not have a nice home to recuperate in. And you know that your recuperation has a lot to do with your environment. And I'm in this lovely home that God has blessed me with. So I started thinking about how I could minister to breast cancer survivors, bring them up for a weekend, spend the weekend, I cook for them, we could do a silent retreat. And the more and more I thought about having that at my house, I started hearing God say, no, I want to build a pink house, separate from your personal house. I was like, okay, God, how are we going to do this? No, how are you going to do this? And so that's where that concept came from. And I tell you, I have received all these awards for a roof pink house that's not even built yet. But I have a developer, he's looking for a site, but I am doing activities connected to the pink house, even though the pink house is not built. Case in point, you may not know, but Cherry Hill has the largest number of breast cancer survivors in Baltimore City. I met a doctor, she's a breast cancer surgeon, she works at Harbor Hospital. So she knows who these ladies are, but she cannot identify them for me because of the HIPAA law. So on September the 10th, we did a caravan. We went out to Cherry Hill. We had 15 cars, and 13 of the cars were breast cancer survivors. And the other 2 cars were our supporters. We decorated our cars in pink. We drove through Cherry Hill, honking our horns, and I had gotten these bags from Susan G. Komen organization. And in the bag is a directory of information about breast cancer and resources. So many African American women do not know what resources are available for them as a breast cancer survivor. We gave out 60 bags in Cherry Hill. I met 4 breast cancer survivors. There were 2 young ladies, they're sisters. One was diagnosed last year, and one was diagnosed this year. So I'm on a mission because I have not heard from any of them, but I'm going back to Cherry Hill. I'm going to find these ladies myself again because I have to get this information for them. So for the month of October, each Saturday, starting with last Saturday, we were on street corners passing out these bags from Susan G. Komen. Last week we were on Park Heights, the 4700 block of Park Heights. And then tomorrow we'll be on the corner of Lafayette and Drew Hill Avenue. Next week we will be on Central Avenue between Monument and Orleans Street, right beside Dunbar High School. And then the last Saturday, October 31st, we will be on the parking lot of Emerson Avenue Shopping Center. So the house is not built, but I've been helping survivors with their rent. I've been helping survivors with getting their medication. And I use the donations that I get for the Pink House to help out other breast cancer survivors. So I'm on a mission. I'm on a roll. I'm an advocate for African American women who are breast cancer survivors.
Wow. Wow. I didn't know that you was going to go into all of that, Reverend Ruth. But that is absolutely amazing. It is amazing. And I know that there is so much going on in the planning stages for the Pink House, but you're already working. You're already, working towards it. Pastor Phil talks about all the time about preparation, and it sounds like you are already, preparing for your building. And so I am truly, truly excited for you. And I know that it's going to be a blessing to so many others. Before I get it, because I do have a couple questions, but before I get into my questions, let's hear from Reverend Pam. Let's hear from you, Reverend Pam Johnson.
Okay, so where do I start? Coming after Dr. Ruth, that's really hard.
Oh, behave.
But no, what I would like to start with in saying is that I am really happy to see the vision of Dr. Travis because it's so needed for the African American community. And I really wouldn't have known how much it was needed had I not gone through the cancer process or going through breast cancer treatment. There's so many challenges for African American women when it comes to breast cancer, although we are diagnosed more than other ethnicities. We are diagnosed a lot of times at a later stage. I was diagnosed stage 2. And a lot of times they say, you start your mammogram at age 40. Some people say, you're older when you get breast cancer. I didn't consider myself to be older. I was 49. And based on my diagnosis, I had breast cancer probably at least a year before it was actually diagnosed. It could have been longer than that. I'm not sure. But I remember I was actually in Hawaii when I was talking, and I use my hands a lot. So I happened to have been talking, and I did something, and I actually hit my chest. And when I hit my chest, I felt a lump. And so, I'm in Hawaii, so I'm not thinking about, I need to do a breast exam or anything like that. But I still kept it in my mind that this lump was here, what I felt. And when I got back home, I had my husband, I said, I need you to feel my chest for me. And I told him what I thought I felt. So we both examining my breast, going around trying to see if we could find this lump, and there it was. So I called my doctor. I go to my doctor, and I go to an African-American female doctor, and, she's really trying to be, I don't think it's anything, but we're going to go ahead and, get your mammogram, things like that. I go and get a mammogram, and after the mammogram, they came back and, wasn't looking too great. He's like, well, I want to do a biopsy, so we did a biopsy. And of course, it came back where I had stage 2 breast cancer. And the difference for me was that it wasn't just one area of my breast. I had more than one area that was where the cancer was. So what the original treatment looked like it was going to be a lumpectomy, which they they would have taken the lump out, treated around that area, and, we would have moved on. But because it was in more than one area of the breast, I actually had a mastectomy where I lost my breast. So also when they did the surgery, they checked, and so it was cancer actually in my lymph nodes. So that caused me to actually have to have chemotherapy instead of radiation, because chemotherapy goes through your whole body versus the radiation, they are treating that particular area. So things happen very quickly. Once you hear cancer, you just want to get it out of your body. It was like, I didn't even, like maybe I could have went and had a second opinion, things like that. I just wanted it out. So, I went through the surgery, and then after surgery, you go through your chemotherapy, and it's a real journey, because you're not expecting the changes that your body goes through. It's one thing to lose your breast as a woman, and we basically, you learn that, it's just like with your hair, chemotherapy, you lose your hair, you realize, I'm not my hair, just like I'm not my breast, so I did go through reconstruction surgery, which I didn't even know is really it's really an organ transplant, where they actually take the fat from your stomach and build your breast. So it's my breast feels like my breast. It looks like my breast. It's still a part of me. But the process itself, going through that chemotherapy takes a major toll on your body. And I tell people it's 10 years this year. I'm celebrating 10 years as a survivor. And I recognize that I am really just starting to feel like myself. And a lot of that had to, and I say feel like myself, maybe physically feel like my old self, because what I did, I started exercising this year. I started running, I'm walking. So I'm taking better physical care of myself, so I feel better. And chemotherapy does so much to every piece of your body, because it's poison that they're actually putting in your body to destroy this cancer. So although it's destroying the cancer, it also impacts the good parts of your body too. So, it's hard to even share so much in such a short time, but I'm gonna go back to Ruth's Pink House, because I remember going through treatment, and they used to have this program, and Jackie, you mentioned it earlier. You said you remember when I used to do hair. I used to have locks down my back. I was a hairstylist for almost 30 years. And so when I went through chemotherapy and I lost all of my hair, and it wasn't just the hair on my head, I lost my eyebrows, I lost the hair on my arms. It was just like, there was no hair on me anywhere. So, but they had a program where you were supposed to be able to go in and somebody put makeup on you and put some eyebrows on you. And every time I would schedule that appointment, they would cancel. And for me, my own, personal self-esteem moment, that was hard for me, because it's like, first of all, I don't have any hair. Then I don't have eyebrows. I really wasn't into makeup, so I didn't even know how to put makeup on, So I was really looking forward to that process, but it never happened in the whole time I went through, because every time I was scheduled, the person canceled. And I found out that the people were cosmetologists who actually volunteered their time. Now, mind you, I'm a cosmetologist, and I'm like, well, how could they cancel on me? Don't they understand this? So when I heard about Ruth's Pink House, I just think about some of the things that I went through, some of the challenges that I have. I heard Dr. Ruth say, she helped people pay their rent. I almost lost my house because I lost my income. It was one morning, and it's so funny. I heard a noise, and I woke up, and I got up and I looked out the window, and I noticed my car wasn't outside, and I actually woke my husband up. I said, honey, did you park the car around the side of the house? And he's like, no. And I looked, I was like, I don't see the car outside. Well, they had come and taken the car, so it's like there's a lot of loss. But at the same time, for me being spiritual, there's a lot of gain, because I found myself on my sick bed I didn't have anybody to call on but God. You know, those moments where there were times, thank God for my husband. I tell him, if he never says I love you another day in my life, I know my husband loves me by his actions as I was going through. But it helped me strengthen my faith in God. I really depended on God to heal me. That was my testimony. You know, I shall live, I shall not die. I had to speak that over myself. You know, so that, you know, I don't, you know, I could talk forever, but it's not just about me. It's really about people being educated about the process. I think I heard today on the news that today is National, I may say the word wrong, Mammography Day. So it's kind of like this national day of thinking about getting a mammogram. Of course, we are in October where we look at Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but also equally important, and we don't talk about breast cancer in men, because I was concerned with my daughter, and I said to because I talked to my doctor, and I said, well, my insurance wouldn't pay for, what do you call it, the genetic thing. And I think, yes, it's like maybe $3,000, maybe $4,000. It might be more now. But my insurance wouldn't pay for it back then. And so I told her, I said, well, I have a daughter, so I have to share with her that she has to get her mammogram before she's 40. She can't take for granted that, you know, she can wait till 40. So my doctor said to me, she said, your sons need to be safe too. And I'm looking at her like, my sons? And she said that it is just as likely for my sons to come up with something like this as it is for my daughter. So I think the education piece is so important in the African American community.
So I know that, and I'm just learning, you know, that men are as affected as women are. How do men, you know, how do men go about, you know, getting checked? I know that the self-examination for themselves is, you know, first line of defense, but how do men go beyond that?
I would say that it would have to happen in the doctor's office beyond that self-examination. But another thing I think that helps is that we as people need to know our family history. If you have and it's not just breast cancer. If you have, in my case, my mother had colorectal cancer. My father had prostate cancer. So cancer is on both sides of my family. So as a man, if you know that you have cancer on both sides of your family, those are the conversations you need to have with your medical doctor, so screenings would look different. You might need to have a screening. A prime example is Black Panther.
Yes.
The gentleman that played Chaz Bosman.
Yes.
Chadwick. He died, 40-some years old?
I think 45.
45, okay. Colorectal cancer is the slowest growing cancer that's out here. So for him to get to a place where he's terminally ill, he had that cancer for a while. But had he waited and listened to maybe I think it's 50 for for colonoscopy? I mean, there's this age limit that you say, well, you should have your first colonoscopy. Well, once my mother was diagnosed with colonoscopy, we were told that we should have our colonoscopy within 5 years. Whatever age my mother was, we needed to start having our colonoscopy. So, you know, I've been having a colonoscopy now almost 20 years. Every 5 years, I'm having a colonoscopy because my mother had colorectal cancer. So knowing our family history is so important, because when we share that information and we got a good medical doctor, they're going to start looking at things and screening things so that you would be able to, at least take the necessary screenings. It's not to say that we're going to live in fear, but it's better to know than not to know.
Lady J, I might add that last week, it may have been last Wednesday, and you can Google this and see that, although it was last week, you can still see it. blackdoctor.org. That's with Ricky Fairley and Dr. Monique Gary. Dr. Monique Gary is the only African-American breast cancer surgeon in the whole state of Pennsylvania. And last week they dealt with Black men with breast cancer. And on that webinar was Beyonce's father, who has had breast cancer. And they talked very openly, and they gave some wonderful suggestions to men. When I talk to men, I say to them, I know this may feel awkward for you to examine your breasts, but find yourself a private space where it's only you, and begin to examine your breasts. And also let your doctor, your general practitioner, examine you as well. But we need to begin to really encourage our men, because the percentage of Black men with breast cancer is rising.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of our viewers, Miss Victoria, she says, "Oh, I love you so much, Reverend Pam."
Oh, I love her too.
Miss Victoria Green, and she shared that her husband actually did have a mammogram. So they do mammograms on men as well. Let me ask you this: why is it that, and I've been doing a lot of reading and a lot of research, why is it that women of color receive substandard care for breast cancer as opposed to their counterparts?
That's a great question. I went to Susan G.R.O.W conference last year. I was invited. First of all, I went in 2017, and there were 3 African American breast cancer surgeons. And this is the research that they presented at the Susan G.R.O.W conference. Black women are getting breast cancer at an earlier age than white women. Mm-hmm. Black women breast cancer is more aggressive than white women. And white women get the best care. And that pushed me even further about the Pink House. I can't tell you everything that's going to be in the Pink House because my developer don't want me to put it out there yet, but that's one of the things that will be there. And so that's why I'm so passionate about getting to our African American sisters. One of my late daughters in ministry thought she had a rash on her breast. So she was treating it like a rash. By the time she goes to the doctor, she's stage 3 breast cancer. So she had the surgery, and she decided that she was not going to take the treatment. She was trusting God to heal her. I never try to change a person's mind about how they're dealing with their situation. I took the treatment, but I prayed with her, and I got on board with what she was trusting God to do. She did not take the treatment, and so the breast cancer went to her brain, and she died. All of our breasts are different. You could have 3 sisters in the same family, and all their breasts are different. And so when I went to have my mammogram, see what happens, Dr. Lady J, we're diagnosed, and then we're devastated when we get the diagnosis. Then we have consultation. Then the doctor does surgery, and then he does treatment. And the doctor said to me, well, now you take a mammogram every 6 months, and you take an MRI once a year. So the doctor's job is finished at that point. Now it's up to you to decide, how am I going to continue on this journey? Because once you're diagnosed, you're on this journey forever. And you have to decide, the doctor can't decide for you. You have to decide how you're going to deal with this journey. And so that's why I'm so passionate, because when I talked to the doctor who told me about the ladies in Cherry Hill, I thought they didn't take the treatment because they didn't have insurance. She said, no, they get free mammograms because they're low income, and we have a way of getting them the treatment, the surgery law. She said, they don't take the treatment because they are afraid. And that's when I knew that I had to get some African American women who look like them to go into Cherry Hill so they can see how good we look and surviving. And so I gave them all the information. None have contacted me yet, but I'm going to keep going out there. A lot of them are young women. And so it's different for us. And also with blackdoctor.org, they do a lot of, every Wednesday at 6 o'clock, they're talking about breast cancer. This past Wednesday, they had these young women on there, diagnosed at 19 years of age. So a couple of them talked about how the doctor kept saying, oh, you don't have breast cancer, kept sending them home. And they were saying, I got a lump in my breast. There's something wrong with my breast. But they keep brushing us off. And so we have got to stay on this mission to reach our sisters and try to save them from this deadly disease. The information is there. That's why we're on these corners on Saturday, giving this information out. So I have a seat with Susan G. Coleman at the table, and Gretchen, she is in the office out in Hunt Valley. So anything I ask for, I can get. So when women need financial support, if I don't have enough of it in my donations for the Pink House, I go right to Gretchen. She goes to Susan G. Coleman. And I told her, by me giving out these Susan G. Coleman bags in the Black community, I'm giving Susan G. Coleman a more positive image in our community. Yeah. Because that organization, for the most part, does not cater to us. When I took my last MRI, I was telling the white technician that I was building Ruth Pink House, and with tears in her eyes, she said, "Miss Travis, I'm so glad you're doing that." And I get teary-eyed when I say this. She said, when women coming in from the city, they get treated differently. I walk in, I got Medicare, and I get treated like a rock star. They walk in with Medicaid, and they get treated different. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be any different between Medicaid and Medicare. Mm-hmm. It should be the same. I'm on a mission, y'all. Yeah. I'm on a mission. I'm not playing. I'm on a mission.
And if I can add too, I think the insurance piece is is really crazy. My husband just retired from Delta Airlines, so we had really good insurance. So I didn't feel like my medical care. I had a really good medical team. I had a very renowned breast surgeon who came from Hopkins, was at Mercy. So I had a good team, and I'm very good at selecting doctors. Usually I get the department head or somebody, who's seasoned. And so that piece I was good with. My difficulty came with the treatment outside. And I'm just like, when I came home, and this is amazing now, because I didn't know you could get a mammogram and they send you home the next day. So and jokingly, I call it my drive-by, not a mammogram, a mastectomy. I call it, I had a drive-by. It's like, because I had the breast surgery, and the next day I was coming home, and I'm telling them, I'm not ready to go home. I'm emotionally messed up.
I came home the same day. I came home the same day.
So it was like, how are you sending me out of the hospital? You just cut my breast off. I was angry with these people. It's like, but then, we're going to send a nurse to the house. Well, guess who comes to my house the next day? A white male nurse. So I was just like, I don't even believe this. I thank God for my husband. So when we look at treatment, I looked at things like, and I don't know if we can, I'll say it, American Cancer Society, they have what they call a patient navigator. Mm-hmm. Hospitals need more African-American female or African-American patient navigators, because you're going to these people and it's not important to them. I'm saying to them, my doctor said to me, one thing he said, I don't want you around any children. So now, mind you, I have an 11-year-old at home. But at the time, I was a director with the Boys and Girls Club in Metropolitan Baltimore. That's what I do, young people. What do you mean you don't want me around children? And he told me, he said, this chemo treatment, he said, it's so strong. He said, if you catch a cold, it could kill you. So I had to stop working. I didn't not go to work because I didn't want to go to work. I had no other choice. But as a result of that, then you start talking about financial issues. So now here we got a 2-family income. Now it's a 1-family income. So we're looking at a mortgage that I bought my house in January and was diagnosed in June. So it was just like, wait a minute, so we had all of these things going on. And I'm saying to the people, well, I don't have a job. How are we going to do this? And how are we going to do that? And they would find, we can get this $250. That wouldn't even cover my gas and electric bill. So on a real tip, I had heard stories of women losing everything and living in their cars and all kinds of stuff. And I'm really like you, Dr. Travis. I got a 6-bedroom house here. I wanted to bring other people in the house. I know my husband think I'm crazy. It was just like, there's no way I can see people suffering and going without and not reach out to do something. So yeah, the treatment piece, I remember I had a $10,000 gas and electric bill. And when I say 10,000, and I went to, what was it, Maryland Fuel Fund, and when you go to them and they're saying to you, well, you did everything that you're supposed to do, but we don't have any money. Or when your husband got just enough income where you might be $10 more than the way they can help you. So I watched that gas and electric bill get to $10,000 and some dollars. And we had to find a way to pay that $10,000 and some dollar gas and electric bill. So that was a 2-family home. I can't imagine Black women or any woman going through this and not having some type of support. So it's a lot of work that needs to be done.
It just seems like that the programs, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like that the programs and the I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it just seems like it's different. It's so much different for us as women of color than it is for white women, and it's unfair. It is unfair, and we really don't know how people are making it. And I do hear stories, of people, being coming to the point where they've lost their homes, and them and their children are living in their vehicles or in abandoned buildings. And we look at people and we say, well, how did you get here? And then you hear their stories, and it is just unbelievable. It is just truly unbelievable. And it bothers me that the help is there for others, but because of my skin color, I'm not available. And people don't want to admit that that's what it is. But like you said, you talked about, Dr. Ruth, about, when you went in for your screening, and, the nurse, she talked about, others that have come in and they didn't have any problem. But those of your shade, and so they are aware that, there's, discrepancies. They are aware that it's not fair.
Well,
it's not
how
fair.
About going into, I remember they have this wig shop that you can go to get hair. So, mind you, I'm a hairstylist, so I want to be jazzy. That's why I ended up wearing my own bald head. But I went to the place to get a wig, and the first thing they pulled out was this, I guess it was an afro, of the cornrow wig. And I'm like, no. As a hairstylist, I'm thinking, is that all you have for African American women? So I ended up leaving out of there with nothing. They said, well, you can go up to Sinai. They have a wig shop there. So I go up to Sinai.
Same thing.
They had this long red flowing wig that she pulled out. And I'm like, do she see my shade and that red? Not gonna go. And so, but then I asked, I said, by me being a hairstylist, I was like, I could possibly cut this and make it work. So I said to them, well, how much is it? It was going to cost my insurance company $500 and some for a $39.99 wig. It wasn't even a lace front. And I was like, this is foolishness. Because again, what happens to the woman that don't have insurance that's willing to cover that cost, who may not be able to walk around? I really felt like I wore my bald head well, but everybody can't wear bald head, So if a person cannot afford or doesn't have the insurance to cover that, then again, we still talking about self-esteem. Being a survivor, physically getting better is one thing, but your self-esteem being intact is just as important, because if you're not up here and in here, if that's not right, you still gonna have some physical issues.
Yeah. So I tried 3 times to get to patient navigation training, and they have never gotten back to me. I even wrote them a letter, because I'm trying to empower myself so I'm able to help other African American women who are going through. Normally, when I know of someone who's going to have surgery, I will go to the hospital with them the day of surgery, have prayer with them. Mm-hmm. But because of COVID-19, I can't do that, But I'll keep trying, because I said to Gretchen, who works with Susan G. Komen organization. You know, it's one of the largest breast cancer organizations in the world. Last year, I was invited to their conference. They invited 40 African American women from around the country. And all 40 of us told them that we don't do their walks anymore. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to know why. And we said, because on the brochure, we don't see women that look like us. And so the brochures now have African American women on there, but they're so light, you have to take a magnifying glass to see whether or not they're Afrocentric. So, but I want to give Susan G. Komen a shout out, because if they had not given me these bags, I wouldn't be on these corners each Saturday. Okay. But I do need to find out from them, what have they done to decrease this disparity between Black women and white women? Since the conference last year was on disparity between Black women and white women who are breast cancer survivors.
So tell me, because I'm sorry, 40 women of color, and I can only imagine how many was at that conference. That just doesn't sound like a lot.
It wasn't. There were 40 of us at the conference, and maybe 3 or 4 more other African Americans there.
Now, was this by invitation only? Was it open to the public? Is it just that we are not standing up?
It does cost. It's open to the public. Okay. We were invited with all expenses paid. It was in Washington, D.C. So it is a cost. I don't remember the cost because I was invited, free. And we went on to Capitol Hill to talk to the lawmakers about not cutting funds for, free mammograms and cervical exams and all that. But when we looked around that room, there were so few of us there. So few of us there. And when I went to the first conference in 2017, again, few of us were there. And at the 2017 conference, the Lax family descendants were there, and they spoke as well. And so each time I go to a conference with them, I get more excited about the Pink House. And one of my preacher friends said, you can't build a Pink House just for African American women. I said, watch me. Watch me. Why can I not? And I've done the research. What I'm going to have in the house is no place like this anywhere in the world that I've found. God never gives you vision without provision. And so my developer and I looked at some land a few weeks ago. We really can't afford that. But I'm not upset about that, because that door is closed for a reason. God has another door. Mm-hmm. Somebody's going to build this house for me free.
It's going to happen.
Somebody build it free.
Yeah. Okay. I say to you, Dr. Ruth and Reverend Pam, ladies, don't get discouraged for standing up for us. When you go to these conferences and there's so little representation for us, don't get discouraged. Please keep going, because your voices are our voices. Your voices are our voices. And you are pioneers. Right now you are at the building stages for African American women, and we need you guys to keep doing what you're doing, because your children and my children and your grandchildren, they're gonna come along and stand on your backs, and God willing, continue to press forward and continue to build on what it is that you guys are doing, what your ladies are doing for us. I have to ask you, are there other support organizations for breast cancer? What are the other organizations? And I'm gathering that there are none specifically for women of color. Is that correct?
Yeah, if you Google African American support breast cancer groups, you'll find, Pam, probably about 2 or 3.
Right.
You won't find a lot.
There's a few, and I'm gonna say this one out because I follow her, and you can follow her on Facebook, and she's somebody that you might want to reach out to. Shay Sharp. She has a Maryland State license plate, and that might be something you want to do too, Dr. Travis. You can. Okay. I think her first diagnosis of breast cancer, she was about 25. So she's had breast cancer a couple of times. She has posed with, topless. She's been on fashion shows topless. She's beautiful.
Advocate. She's a beautiful black woman.
Real advocate.
She is absolutely gorgeous.
Don't let nobody tell you young people don't get breast cancer. And so look her up, Jackie. She's somebody that you can definitely talk to. I know she does some work with the African American women and specifically younger women. But there's a breast cancer group that my picture that's on my poster, that was a breast cancer survivors calendar that I was asked to be in this calendar. There is I can't even think of the name of it, but they have a group that comes out, a support group that comes out of University of Maryland Hospital. And there was another group that I just couldn't, for some reason, support the need, or the type of support that we need. Sometimes it's different based on where you are. Like, I don't need to come to a support group where we sitting and we having cookies and drinking tea when I'm looking at a $10,000 gas and electric bill.
Yeah, that's right.
So I know there is a place that I want to say, was it called Hopewell? That's not African American, but it's not. It's cancer people, cancer survivors. You can go there and do crochet or whatever, things like that. Again, it's a place that has resources, but it's not accessible to everybody.
That's right.
So even myself, when I went through I started something I called chemo bag. And what I found is that what I would do is I would develop a bag for people that I knew was going through chemotherapy. And it might include a blanket, a journal, some ginger candies, some lotion, a deck of cards. And usually I would talk to people closest to them to find out what would work best in that particular bag. A box of tissue. There's a lot of tears. Chemo makes you very nauseous, so ginger is good for it. If a blanket, because you're setting under this, if you're setting up, going through whatever, how many hours you're there. So I did that for a little while, but it got expensive because I was really putting my own money out. And then, a lot of cases I was just donating, and it's like, ideally, that's what I would like to do. But I don't believe in, okay, I'm gonna go to the dollar store and buy a dollar blanket. You want people to have something nice, something to hold on to. So it's not a lot for us as people of color, women of color. It really it's just not there, and it's sad because the need is there. Yeah, it's a great need.
Reverend Candace, did you do the bag for Reverend Candace? I called you Reverend Candace because I just had her on my mind. But did you do the chemo bag for her? Somebody made her a really nice chemo bag.
I'm trying to think if I did a bag for Reverend Candace. I remember doing one for Nicole. I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, somebody made a really nice bag for her. And I remember it had the blanket and the ginger in it, and different things that she.
Journal, because I remember putting and that's something I learned. And really, I started it, but I try and encourage people to write as they're going through their journey, because we need to be able to share our stories. It's our stories sometimes that help. When I went through it, like, I didn't know, even in my church, I didn't know that there were so many other survivors in our church setting, because nobody talked about it. Did people treat cancer like, if I say it, it's a bad word, but I say everything's got a name, has to bow down to the name of Jesus. So I'm gonna call it what it is, But what I found out, because I started talking about it, then I had more women coming to me saying, I had breast cancer. So I did try and start a group right there at the church. Mm-hmm. A lot of the women were older women, but they still, it was really a lot more women, a lot more survivors at our church than I knew was there. But they weren't talking about it. Women need a safe space that they can talk about it.
They really do. And when I was first diagnosed, I didn't want anybody to know. I felt embarrassed for whatever reason. And I didn't want people feeling sorry for me. And I did not want people thinking I was getting ready to die. So I'm sitting on the examining table and the doctor's looking at it on the screen. And the first thing I said was, Lord, how long do I have to live? Because when you hear cancer, you hear death. And I said, wait a minute, you're a woman of faith. So I started thinking of all the positive words that begin with C. I started with Christ, then I said clothes, then I said cake, to get my mind away from that D word. And I heard God say to me, this is not sickness until death. And I said back to God, okay, how we get through this?
Yes.
And so my doctor recommended that I participate in a study. So when I walked into the study doctor's office, I said, hi, my name is Ruth Travis. I'm here to live and not die. Because by then, I have my mojo on it, honey. I'm ready to roll with this, you know. Unlike chemo, radiation doesn't make you nauseous. It makes you tired.
Mm-hmm.
It took me about 4 months to get my strength back. And you know, I'm energetic. I'm running and line dancing and all this.
Mm-hmm.
But I was so tired for several months. But when I got my mojo back on, girlfriend, it's still on, you know. And so I want to be a blessing to women because like people can listen to our stories, but you don't know what it's really like until you actually go through it.
Yes. I'm so glad,
Lady J, that you never have to go through it. We pray you never have to go through it.
Yes.
But if you do, you got us. You got us. You got us.
And look, and more importantly, God's got you.
Yeah,
that's right.
I know
one
that
thing
to
I
be a
learned.
fact.
Regardless of what we go through, God is still with us. And when I say I was on my sick bed, and I heard that Dr. Ruth, you said you didn't want people to think you was. I had friends, people in my life all my life, did not come to see me because they said I didn't want to see you like that. People were afraid I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it at this point. Not that it felt good, but I also realized because there wasn't a lot of people, it was me and God and my husband and my daughter. You know, I tell my daughter she got a healing hand. My daughter would come, lay at the foot of my bed and just rub up and down my leg. You know, and she doesn't realize how much healing that did for me because I call everybody
human touch.
That's it. You know, they're our co-survivors because although we go through, they go through things too.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
one of my preacher friends said to me, you go to a Jewish doctor? I said, yeah, when I want prayer meeting, I go to church. His mother, my breast cancer doctor mother, died at age 102. She survived breast cancer for 40 years. That's what encouraged him to go into the field of breast cancer.
Awesome.
And I went to have my exam by him the day after she was buried, and he was so down. He's Jewish. His assistant, the nurse, she's a Christian. Her father had died. I'm the patient sitting on the examining table. I take my doctor by the right hand. I take the nurse by the left hand, and I pray with them. The patient pray with them.
That's right.
If he were here right now, and I would say, I am his favorite patient, he would say, she is. Awesome. So I went to the bookstore. I bought him an Old Testament encouragement card because he is Jewish. I don't want to offend him in his religion. And I mailed it to him. I bought her a devotional book. And to this day, they still thank me for having done that. So your doctor and you have to have a real special relationship.
Yes.
Where you're trusting God
mm-hmm.
and you're trusting your doctor to two together. And if you have a doctor where you don't really trust him, you can't ask questions. Because when I was my consultation before the surgery, the study doctor had given me this book. And so I was asking the doctor the questions that were in her book. And he seemed to become offended. I'm doing a lumpectomy on page 22. I got teary-eyed. So I had taken my niece with me and one of my preacher friends who was a psychologist. And so when we left his office, they said, Dr. Ruth, you teared up in there. What happened? I said, I don't know. I got to think about it. When I got home, I realized that I felt like I was the student. My doctor had given me an assignment, the study doctor. And when I went to my doctor, my breast cancer surgeon doctor, I was asking the questions she told me to ask, and he was upset. He said, oh no, Miss Travis, I was not upset with you. I was upset with the study doctor because she's making you have more anxiety than you're supposed to have. So I said, well, you guys need to talk. He said, we don't need to talk. I fired her. So he is very particular about this. When I took my radiation, they said, we're going to give you this brochure. We don't think Dr. Schultz will mind because they know at St. Joseph Hospital, he does not play about his patients. Okay? So your doctor is very, very important in your care.
In your care. I'm so glad that you made mention that cancer is not a death sentence.
It's a license to live.
Thank you.
Not a death sentence. It's a license to live and pursue the purpose in your life.
It's a license to live. All right now, I'm gonna have to use that.
It is.
Dr. Ruth, I'm gonna use that. I'm telling you now, it's a license to live.
I'm going to charge you to use it.
You gonna charge me? I want to ask you. We are at the top of our hour, and we'll be closing out shortly. But real quick, can breast cancer be a repeat, a reoccurrence? You can get breast cancer again.
Yeah, I'm dealing with a young lady now. She's on Facebook, and she's a bus driver. And she was talking on Facebook, talking about how the bus wasn't clean, people getting on follow masks. Her breast cancer came back, and she's taking treatment, and she gets COVID-19. So I helped her with her rent. I got Susan G. Komen to help with some other expenses and all. And so finally, she got over the COVID-19, and she had to take proof that she was over it to go back to finish her treatment. She had taken treatment also up in, and I can share this with you because she puts it on Facebook, so it's not a secret, and she won't mind me sharing. She's also a former student too. She was going up to Philadelphia to take treatment to see if that would be better than the treatment at Mercy, but her body didn't handle that well. So I helped her with expenses going up there, and then I think she just took treatment at the Cancer Center in Atlanta, I think. I'm not absolutely sure. Don't quote me on that one. But she's a trooper. She said it came back. She said, but my faith in God. She said it was devastating when they first told me it was bad, but my faith in God. So she encourages me, and mine is not returned. But in the back of my mind, and Rev Pam, you probably feel the same way. You wonder if it's coming back.
You know what? I'm going to say
you can't help it.
You know, I listen to people who voluntarily get double mastectomies, and I'm like, why would you voluntarily just get your breast cut off? But I only had one breast removed. But knowing what I know today, I would have had a double mastectomy. I would have just volunteered, just go take the other one too, you know. So, yes, it can come back. I still see, my oncologist told me 10 years ago, it's like, it's me and you for years. And so I go to him every year. I go to see him. At first it was every 6 months. Now it's a year. A matter of fact, it was an 18-month. It was like, people were like, he letting you go for 18 months? He don't usually do that. You know, it's like, I'm healed, you know, but I still go to him and make sure that I'm clear, you know. So, yes, it can come back. But I trust God. You got to trust God through the process.
Absolutely.
The first time.
Yeah.
Sure,
And he will get you through it again. That is no doubt. Ladies, this has been a most interesting, informative conversation, and I appreciate you. And there are so many comments on social media, but one I do want to share, Miss Victoria Green, before we close out. She says, I totally love you ladies for sharing your stories. You are such an inspiration. May God bless and continue to keep you both. And you know, I second that emotion. I truly, and I kiss love to both of you. This has been so informative, and we will have another group of ladies that will come on October the 30th. Also, breast cancer survivors. So please, I ask you to tune in and encourage them as well. To Sister Pam, Reverend Pam, God bless you. Just keep on. You know, I know that
her journey is much more challenging.
Wow.
She's my hero.
Yes.
All I know is God is a keeper, and
Yeah.
He's able.
And He is
That's
able.
all I know.
And He is able. All you got to do is call on Him.
That's it.
All you got to do is call
Will you
on
send me
Him.
an inbox to remind me of the next session?
Yes, I will. Definitely,
Yeah.
I will.
That is my daughter's 21st birthday.
I know.
I don't know what we're doing, but I'll try. And she might not want to be bothered with me at 21.
It's always on a repeat. You can, you'll be able to catch. You'll be able to log on and catch it somewhere. Okay. Absolutely. Tonight is our Fit for Life segment, and usually, I was going to call her Reverend Shay Brown. Y'all, Shay, I know you watch, friend. Shay Brown. She is our Fit for Life, person, our coach. She is and it's not
her
just
new name. She's gonna be Sergeant.
You're not giving her no new name. She already know that name. You're not giving her no new name.
But you know what? The fact that because she's also a vegan. And something we didn't talk about tonight is diet. Okay. So that might be a conversation that you want to have with Shay around.
Yes.
Fighting this cancer thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is my plan to talk about diet with the ladies that we have coming on in 2 weeks, and because I know that her diet is one of the things that has helped her get through many of her journeys. Nicole, she is Nicole, and I should know this now. Nicole Thomas. We married him, so I should know this. Nicole Thomas. Yes. Her mother, Coletta White. And
both of them going to be on.
Yes, and her sister, because of the support system. Dr. Ruth, I'm getting my warning that we are running over. I just want you to know, Pastor Phil and I, victoriously, like to make a donation to Ruth's Pink House. So please send me your information where we can send it to.
Okay,
we are a new ministry, but we are a powerful ministry, and we have a ministry called the Have a Heart to Help ministry. And we definitely want to make a donation to help in your whole lot. But we got a lot in here.
Do not say that. Do not say that. I don't receive that. If it's a penny,
it's a lot.
Nickel,
yes, ma'am.
Don't say we don't have much. It's just a little bit. Every piece counts.
Yes, ma'am.
Every
you are absolutely counts. Right. Yes, ma'am.
And I want to thank you for having us on. This is wonderful.
Yes. So,
beautiful.
I appreciate you both. I absolutely keep you both in our prayers, as well as all breast cancer survivors, those that are going through, those who are not even sure what's going on within their bodies. We encourage you, don't take no for an answer, ladies. Minister Kiara Noble said that she went to her doctor because of her family's history, and they tried to tell her no. But she pressed on to, she wanted, because she's not even 40 yet, and she pressed on that, she needs her mammograms. So don't take no for an answer. If you need to get it, something within, you do it. And make sure you look out for your husbands and your sons and your grandsons, all right? Because you ladies shared something to make my mind think tonight. So I just want to put that out there. So that is going to close us out tonight. I am your host, Lady J. Ladies, please don't leave yet. I am your host, Lady J. I am so happy that you joined in with us tonight. I pray that something was encouraging to you, that you received some type of information and some type of help to help you along your journey. And maybe it's not even just your journey. Maybe it's the journey of someone else. But whatever it is, share it. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Don't keep it to
Yes.
yourself. I'm going to say that again. Share it.
Share
Don't
it.
keep it to
That's
yourself. I just want to remind everybody, get a copy of my audio book, You've Got This. And Pastor Phil does have the link, and he will flash it up again. I'm a new publisher. Y'all support me. And let me know what you think about my book. I want to know. I want to know. And I want to know how it is a blessing and how it is helping you. And once again, I encourage you to share it. Don't keep it to yourself. So I am your host, Lady J, for Victory Talk. I look forward to talking with you again real soon. I love you like no other. I pray God's blessings upon you. Peace and blessings, and enjoy your